Hello, my name is Crystal. I'm a registered nurse, and today I'm going to go over the wounds of our souls and how we attract from them. First, a little about myself. Like I said, I'm a registered nurse, and right before the pandemic, I broke up with my fiance that I absolutely loved. I think he was the love of my life, at least at that time. And soon after that, my mother went on life support, and she passed away pretty suddenly. And my sister was right down the hall from her in the ICU fighting for her own life. My sister made it. My mother didn't. My foster dad had a heart attack a week later. And then a year and a half later, my sister did pass. So I went through a lot. And in my words, I was broken. And I definitely showed it. So I was a registered nurse and I was traveling. And so traveling for me was the flight response, the survival flight response, and I was leaving all the time. I made really good money doing it, made fabulous money, but unfortunately, because I was being rewarded for the travel nursing, it kept me in survival mode and it kept me from really healing. I did not know that I had PTSD until I stayed still for long enough. I think it was about 2 years. And in 2024, I was diagnosed. I was a mental health nurse, like I said, so I had all the tools at my fingertips that I needed to be able to research, do these activities on my own. I knew to read books. I looked at podcasts. I was obsessed with finding the cure. I tried to go to counseling. They discharged me. They said, oh, anybody who's gone through this would, of course, have these behaviors. Anyway, so I'm going to share with you today some things that I learned. Because it is my belief that with acknowledgement of our behaviors and taking accountability in them and fixing them, that's the key to long-lasting, forever-lasting improvement in so many areas of our lives. Work, relationships, dating, and back to relationships. That could be relationships with parents, with coworkers, with our children, anybody, anything that you struggle with. So, as I promised, let me get to the wounds that we have and how we attract from them. So abandonment, that's the first wound we're going to talk about. Normally, people who suffer from this attract emotionally unavailable people. Have you ever just wondered why you always seem to attract the emotionally unavailable people? You probably have this wound. So you probably, maybe, have threatened to leave. You feel left out. You fear being left. You hate being alone, and you're codependent. Now, you may not have all these. Chances are you do. But anyway, that's the abandonment wound. The guilt wound. You normally attract people who make you feel guilty. You often say, I feel sorry, or I feel bad. That was me in about my early 20s. You don't like to ask for things. I once read a book. Oh, this was so me. I once read a book that if you have problems accepting things, the next person who offers to buy you something or give you something, that you accept it. No matter what it is, you accept it. I went on a first date with this guy and he took me to an antique shop and he said, I had such a great time. I want to buy you something to say thank you. And I remembered this book and I had to fight everything inside me to say no. But I said, okay, and I looked around and I found this little trinket that I kind of liked. It was like $5. But I lit up when I saw a lamp, absolutely lit up. And I felt guilty because it was like $124 and I could not ask him for that. But he saw me light up and he wanted to make me as happy in that moment as he had been on that date. So he went ahead and he bought that for me. He and I didn't work out, but he never regretted buying that for me because it made him feel good to do so. And I learned and grew from that. I started to understand my value. I started to heal some wounds. And I was able to accept help from that point forward, which, ladies, if you're on this, men like to help. They actually do. Okay, so back to guilt. You don't like to ask for things. You use guilt to manipulate. I definitely did that in my 20s before I knew any better. That was, after I was still young. I was still under the influence of my parents. Afraid to set boundaries. Not only was I afraid to set boundaries, I didn't know how to set boundaries. As a nurse, if they asked me to work, I always worked, always put in the hours. I looked like a workaholic. I didn't really want to work. I felt obligated. But that was the guilt wound. Okay. Neglect wound. Normally attract people who don't appreciate them or make them be seen. Oh, I had that issue. And not being seen is somebody who can't value your feelings, your emotions. They just don't want to know who you are, at least under the surface. Here's what else that looks like. You have a hard time letting go. I definitely had a hard time letting go. You have low self-esteem. That was one of my problems. Although I had this ego and this pride, I didn't want anybody to know that I had low self-esteem. So I inflated it and I looked like I had this great self-esteem, but no, not inside. And you know. Anyway, you get angry easily. Oh, I got frustrated at all kinds of stuff. Technology is not my friend. You have a hard time saying no. We already discussed that with work. I definitely had a hard time saying no. You repress emotions. I did. A lot of you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to explain that. And you fear being vulnerable. I didn't want people to see me. I definitely didn't want people to see me. I didn't want them to know my feelings, my thoughts, my concerns, to feel sorry for me or bad for me or anything. I just did not want to be vulnerable at all. Okay, trust issues. You normally attract people who you don't feel safe with. Isn't that interesting? We have trust issues and we attract the people who don't make us feel safe. We'll talk about nervous system on another podcast in the future because that is very interesting information and you definitely will learn a lot about yourself and your relationships when we talk about it. Anyway, trust issues. You normally attract people who don't feel safe. You're afraid to be hurt. You don't trust yourself. You find ways not to trust people. You make up these scenarios in your head or these stories in your head that may not be true, but you just have this underlining, I don't trust them feeling about all kinds of people, everybody. You need lots of external validation because you feel insecure. I did that on my Facebook. And you don't feel safe. That was my core wound. I didn't feel safe. So if you did not pick this up, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of the wounds, which is why I feel safe to tell you all about them because I resonate with all of them. So think about these wounds. Think about your behaviors. What is it costing you? Is it costing you a job, a promotion, happiness, opportunities, relationships? Is it worth it to hold on to these behaviors, or are you ready for a change? I personally don't believe that your history defines your future. I don't believe that you should be judged by your history. And I don't believe that your history is going to cause you to be held back. Mine didn't. I've been very successful and I came from crap, let me tell you. And then this episode that I told you about, within a year and a half time, everything that happened to me, our past does not define who we are. It does not define who we are becoming. We are becoming who we are becoming. And if you stay on the road that you're on, you will get to that destination. Think about that for a minute. If you're on a bad road, you'll get to the destination bad. If you're on a good road of healing and self-improvement, you'll get there. I promise you'll get there. All right. So I know from myself that if you want to see a change in the world, be that change and your world will change. I promise you that. I've seen it. I've seen it in my friends. I've seen it in some coworkers. I've seen it in people I have relationships with. It changes. You change, your world changes. Let's see. Okay. So when I was stuck in the PTSD, I was single. I began to think I was going to be single forever. I began to wonder what was wrong with me. People said, nothing's wrong with you. Baloney. Look inside. Anyway, I thought I was going to work forever as a nurse. I didn't know how I was going to retire. And when I fixed all this, I found a man who loves to go traveling with me. We travel a lot. This last year, I've been to LA. I've been to Kauai, where I got married. You could look me up. I'm the tsunami warning bride. That's how I came into this, was coming in on a warning of a wave. Anyway, I've been to London and to Paris. So your life definitely improves and you can reach goals and dreams when you give up your past, when you let go. Remember that wound? Have problems letting go? That is the neglect wound. Anyway, so I want to help support you in your journey. Right now, I don't have my own coaching license. I don't have my own coaching business. I do plan on getting one in the future. But if you want some more free information, if you want to follow me and learn, and then eventually when I do get my own license and my own coaching business, you could definitely reach out for that if you want. But of course, you don't have to. This is free information. I want to help everybody in their journey that I can. So please like and subscribe. Share this video if you think it might help somebody else. I want to help you in your journey. I want to help you heal. I want to help you have the life that you desire and not have a life that you're constantly responding to, because it is a huge difference. And I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. And you know, every time I hear somebody saying, you help me, my life is better, then I feel amazing. So I don't think it's selfish, but maybe it is. I don't know. Put your comments in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer all of them. Please like and subscribe. You have a great day, and I hope you learned a lot from this. God bless you.